To my young kings, welcome back. Today, I'm going to go over the 7-year cycle theory. Now, this theory comes from the story of creation. Yeah, I've thought about it and it lines up. They say that every 7 years, every 5 to 7 years, people change. People change biologically and they change mentally. Now, the story of creation states that God made the world in 7 days. Now, obviously, it's not 7 literal days. Yeah, God's timing is different from our timing. But we're going off the principle of 7, right? On day 1, God created the heavens and the earth, and he spoke light into existence. He then separates the light from the dark, and he calls it day and night. On day 2, God created the skies. On day 3, God created land, and he created all plant life that's self-sustaining. On day 4, God created the stars and all the heavenly bodies so that man can track time. On day 5, God created all life that lives in the water, and he also created all the birds in the sky. On day 6, God created all creatures that live on dry land that weren't included in the list on the day 5. After God created all the creatures, then he created man, and he created man in God's image. And then on the 7th day, God rested. So God created everything within 6 days. And this 7th day is actually critical because in the 7 habits of highly successful people, the 7th habit is to sharpen the saw, and that is to take time out for renewing activities. Now to the 7-year life cycle theory. 0 to 5 are the most important years of a child's development. This is a period in which the most development activity takes place within the human brain. Neural connections and pathways are being developed and strengthened. A child should have both parents in the home, mother and father, but the father is especially important. It's essential that you're around daily during this period so that your child can develop secure attachments. When a father's not there, then the mother has to play the role of both mother and father. You can only really play one at a time. And she's going to have to play the role of father. She won't really have feminine energy like that. The man is supposed to bring the masculine energy and the masculine frame, and the woman is supposed to bring the feminine energy. If the father's not around, the woman is going to have to be in her masculine energy. Yeah, she's going to have to play the role of provider and protector. It's not a role that she should be playing. Do you understand? So she's not able to fulfill her role as a mother properly because she's balancing the two. This is why the man needs to be around so he can play and fulfill his role as provider and protector and priest. The 3 characteristics, the 3 tenets of manhood. Priest, provider, protector, which then allows a woman to enter her feminine energy and do the role that she's supposed to do, which is to nurture, grow and maintain and preserve value. Now from 7 to 14 is the next period of development. We're going up in 7s. This is the period in which your values and your culture is being instilled into that child. Kids learn from observing how their parents conduct themselves and interact with each other. And a lot of issues stem from what was experienced or what was seen in childhood. Your childhood shapes how you operate and move in your adult life. As a kingdom man, it's your responsibility to ensure that your child knows the word and therefore knows God by the age of 13. And at 13, they're held responsible for their own actions. You're laying the foundation for your child to then go and build their life upon. Now, values describe the core ethics or principles you will abide by no matter what situation or what circumstance you find yourself in. And values serve a number of purposes. They help guide behavior, they demonstrate integrity and accountability to external stakeholders, they set you apart from other people and from competitors, they reduce the risk of inappropriate behavior, and number 5, they set the culture for your family. And this is what you're instilling in your child. Now, this is just my personal opinion from what I've witnessed and what I've experienced, but I believe it would be unwise to have a child if you can't afford to homeschool your child. You really shouldn't be outsourcing the development of assets. And children are highly valuable assets. Yeah, they're children, but they're still assets at the same time. Every child is unique and learns differently. You really want a system that is tailored towards your child and getting the best out of them. You really shouldn't be outsourcing their development, especially as a kingdom man. Now, ideally, it will be you and the mother teaching your child. When you outsource your child's development to a school, be it private school or public school, you're basically getting an off-the-shelf package, and the curriculum is set by that school or by that institution. And that curriculum may not be the curriculum you want taught to your child or what's necessary for your child. If you're developing in-house, if you created a bespoke system, you will be able to allocate more time and more resources to the disciplines that you want your child to learn and to be taught. You can do away with the lessons that don't benefit your child or which don't add value to your child. You're keeping development in-house. It's a bespoke system. You don't want an off-the-shelf package. Secondly, you tend to get what you pay for. When you put your child into a public school, be it a free school or any private school, let's say, they're in a class with 15 other students, right? How much time is actually being dedicated to your child's learning? Your child's probably moving at a different pace. Maybe they're quicker, maybe they're slower, but they can potentially be held back by other students within that class. Thirdly, God says to come out from among them and be separated. So why would you send your child who's still developing and growing to learn from pagans and adopt their practices? You wonder why your child is exhibiting attitudes and behaviors that you don't approve of or do not align with the values that you're trying to instill or your culture when they come back from school. And now you're spending the evening trying to correct them or beat it out of them. Do you understand? It's counterproductive. God says that a double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. So as a kingdom man, imagine your child is trying to learn two different systems, two different cultures, two different ways of living. One which glorifies man in the flesh and the other which glorifies God. And both these cultures, both these philosophies or ways of living are contradictory to one another. They don't complement each other at all. They're complete opposites. And they're trying to learn both at the same damn time. It's pure confusion. This is how you have children with split personalities or children who you believe to be bipolar. Fourthly, God states that your enemies will be within your own household, right? And that parents should also not provoke their children to anger. You don't want to constantly be at war with your child. It's not nice. It's headache and it's unnecessary stress. It's stress you can actually avoid. So as a kingdom man, don't even think about having children until you can provide the right environment for them to grow and succeed. Just like in creation, God had to create the right environment for man to flourish. Obviously, for some of you, it may be too late and you'll just have to make the best out of the situation you're currently in. But for those of you that are currently child-free, it's best to just leave it alone until you can afford to homeschool them and do it properly. Now, from 14 to 21 is the next stage of development. And this is a stage in which you should be exploring and developing new skills and capabilities. This will be your best opportunity to try new things and to make mistakes. Your basic needs, physiological needs, and safety needs are normally taken care of by your parents. You don't really have no bills or responsibilities like that. Now, from 14 to 21, you want to avoid romantic relationships. You really do not need one during this period. Love is sacrificial in nature. Any romantic relationships you get into will just be a liability. You will end up compromising and reducing the amount of resources you have available to max out your potential. Don't make love before it's time. Many a man have capped their potential by falling for a woman too early. So invest and focus on yourself. You have so much time ahead of you. Women aren't going anywhere, trust me. And by the time you reach 30, you have so much more options available to you. You should see your life as one project. You only get one life. And the three variables of projects are cost, time, and scope. A change in any of those three variables will impact the quality of that project. It will impact the quality of your life. An increase in scope will impact the quality if there's not an increase in the money available or the time to complete. A lot of men increase the scope too early by getting involved with a woman. And a woman between the ages of 14 and 21 is just going to subtract. She's just going to subtract from your resources. She'll take your time and she'll take your money. The only relationship you should be developing is a relationship with God, and practice being obedient to His word. The majority of issues men encounter stem from a lack of obedience to God. As you go through puberty, your hormones will be on fire. You have to learn self-control. It's a must. This will be your biggest test, your biggest challenge as a man. If you can master your body, the possibilities for you are endless. Many men are a slave to their sexual desires and it ruins them. If you can get control over your lust, you'll be in the top 10% of men. Learn discipline, learn self-control, study martial arts, work out regularly, eat and sleep properly. Your body is the first asset that you're given stewardship over. Look after it. Build it up and maintain it. God's never going to put more on you than you can bear. And you have to show that you can look after that asset before He entrusts you with other assets too. Learn life skills. Learn how to cook for yourself. Many women believe the way to a man's heart is through their belly. If you know how to cook, a woman can't hold you hostage to food. If you fall out with your mum and your mum says she ain't cooking you no dinner tonight, you can say, well, mum, I can cook for myself. Now, ideally, you should have a brotherhood of up to 4 other men to hold each other accountable. But you can do it solo. It is possible. And really, if your father is around, you should be doing it with him. He should be your primary teacher. Now, 21 to 28 is the next stage of development. And during this stage, you should have discovered what your strengths and what your weaknesses are. You should be developing your craft. You should be competent and accomplished in at least 3 different disciplines. And you want to be acquiring resources, build a bank. You may not like it, but money is necessary. There's no way around it. Money can't buy happiness, but it can buy you freedom. It can buy you time. That's all anyone ever wants, time. And it makes those low moments a lot easier. There's nothing worse than being broke and being low. It just compounds the problem. Now from 28 to 35, you're entering into the last stage of development. Now it's said that your brain doesn't even fully develop until the age of 25. So by 28, your decision making should really be on point. You've made the majority of mistakes in your life, mostly through trial and error, between the ages of 14 up to the age of 28. Now there was actually an 18-year time skip in the Bible. So you didn't hear anything about Jesus' life for 18 years, right? The last time you heard was around the age of 12. All it says is that he advanced in wisdom and in stature and in favor with God and men. So although he would have known his purpose earlier, he didn't really start his ministry until his 30s. At 28, you should be in a position where you can strike out on your own fully now. You want to be the master of your own life. You shouldn't be a slave to men. You want to build and create something that's of value and beneficial to others, not just yourself. Now from 35 onwards, you want to help the next generation. Be a mentor. You should be peaking by around 35, 36, and you should just be gone. At 35 onwards, this is also the time when you may want to start exploring the possibility of having a family, if that's what you want. And if you're gonna have one child, you might as well have another 2 and bang them out one after the other. At 35, you should be able to afford 2 if you've done things correctly. Now, there are plenty of men through history that never had children of their own, but left a legacy. So it's not critical or necessary for you to have children to leave your mark on this world. Those men are still remembered to this day. But if that's what you really want, then go for it. But only go for it if the conditions are right. And your choice of a wife and mother to your child will go a long way to whether or not it's successful or not. You shouldn't compromise or settle on that at all. As a man, you do not need to get married. We can survive without women. We were built first. Now, historically, kings only used to marry virgins. But I'm not going to get into that in this video. You don't want a modern woman. You don't even want a traditional woman. You want a virtuous woman. There's a difference. If you can't find one, then dead it. Now, if you're in your early 30s and things haven't gone right for you so far, it's not too late. Do you understand? There's still time for you. You can still bring it back. You can still turn it around. Remember that on the seventh day, God rested, and there are 5 individual phases. You can get a lot done in 5 years. Do you understand? But you have to go hard and be committed. Yeah? You've got to be completely committed to it. For real. You've got to want it. But to my young kings, that's the 7-year theory of how I believe life is supposed to work and how you're supposed to go through life. And you can accomplish everything you want to accomplish by the age of 35.